So the skills that are important to practice as an integrative lawyer are very often not the skills that you're taught when you're at law school. They are EQ skills, and one of the things that became very clear for me is that IQ is important. Law is not an easy subject. One has to have an ability to be able to read a lot, to synthesize information, to think rationally and logically. But if you want to practice law in a more holistic way, you also have to be able to have some capacity for self-reflection, a capacity to connect with other people, an ability to have meaningful conversations, and an ability to be compassionate or empathetic to problems, because people generally only go and see a lawyer if they have a problem. And so one's EQ becomes really important. So I think those are the skills, and one can develop those. And I have had many years of thinking about those things, dealing with some of my own emotional issues. I went through a very severe depression in my 20s and needed to get some kind of help with that. And those processes where you have to confront your own feelings and your own place in the world help to develop those skills. But I do think that if you haven't had, some big life event or things have gone swimmingly, that doesn't stop you from developing those skills, because one can learn to be compassionate and have empathy through things like self-reflection, spiritual practices, mindfulness, just looking a little bit more carefully and introspectively at oneself. So by working on oneself and working on the inner world, one connects better with other people. And that's certainly been my experience. That whole combination is what helps one to become a more integrated person, a more authentic person, a more whole person. And that is what integrative law is about. It's about being more real. It's about bringing your full self to your work so that you can have joy in it, because you can be who you are, but still be intellectual and logical and rational, but also be really kind and compassionate and gentle. And as I've got older, I've become more compassionate and a better listener and a better connector, because those are also skills that one can practice. And so the more that you practice them, the better you get. The way that I perceive my professional identity is potentially not the same as many other lawyers. I was attracted to law initially because it was going to be intellectually stimulating. There was a certain status that one got as a lawyer, and that I could earn a lot of money. I think, to be honest, those were the reasons, some of the reasons why I went into law. There was also wanting to help people, but that soon got squashed down in law school, and what was focused on really was intelligence and thinking properly and writing coherently. So when I came out of law school and I finished studying, I think my professional identity was very different to what it is now. And it was more about playing a role as a particular kind of person in society, and quite a influencing type of person who had a lot of influence and who people looked up to and respected. And then as time went on, I started to feel a bit embarrassed in a way about being a lawyer, because people always put me in a box and they assumed that I was a particular kind of person. And so my professional identity, I struggled with that a lot. But now, if I look back on what I've done and what I'm doing and the journey that I've had in law, my professional identity is a much more strong thing as far as being proud that I'm a lawyer who can be different to your average lawyer. And so one of my missions in life is actually to change people's impressions of lawyers. And I think that one can do that by being authentic and being a real person and bringing my whole self to bear on whatever I do, and that I can be a professional and I can be someone who does things just as well as your lawyer in a big law firm who doesn't talk about feelings and emotions, by being a real person. And so as a professional, I'm very proud that I'm a lawyer, and I'm proud that I can make a difference in the profession by changing people's views about lawyers and also helping lawyers to be able to be more authentic and themselves and be real. My advice for law students who are considering a profession, working as a lawyer, is to reflect a little bit on the type of person that they are, because one can become a solicitor or a barrister and follow that path, but to separate one's professional self and one's personal self can work for a certain amount of time, but there are costs that come with that. And so if one can integrate those and be a lawyer who is a real person and a good lawyer, then there are so many opportunities. And so my advice, I suppose, would be question things. You don't have to do it the way that everyone's done it before. And it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be slightly different. And I do think that 10 years from now, it won't be seen as being very different. I think that there is generally a move amongst lawyers who are starting to feel that they can't keep on doing what they're doing in the way the world is today without actually being real people. And there's so much focus these days on being authentic and living in a world where we're all connected. And I think that the traditional lawyer isn't connected to people because they cut off their feelings in order to provide a very hard-headed response.